Welcome, everybody. This is The World is a Mess, and I just went to Steampunk It. It's about 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Um, I'm here with Daniel at Daniel's Hot Topics, and Daniel's in Ontario.
Yeah,
And you're on Eastern Time Zone, correct?
yeah, yeah, definitely. So this is Daniel's Hot Topics. It's Tuesday, November 3rd, 2020, 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here in Canada.
Yeah, I am looking at the results right now, the states that have reported, although they're still counting the mail-in ballot. But a couple of
Hmm.
surprising leads is showing that Trump is leading by 16 points in Pennsylvania. Looks like he may have won Pennsylvania. This is bad news for Biden. Trump is leading in
Yeah.
Michigan
Oh,
by 11 points, and he's leading in Ohio by 7 points. And of course, he's going to be leading in Indiana. They haven't called it in Ohio or Michigan yet because you still got mail-in ballots to count. They've called it in Indiana. They called it in Illinois. I mean, I can understand why Biden would win Illinois because that's Obama's home state. Or well, Obama was a senator from Illinois, and then he's originally from Hawaii. But yeah, Illinois usually votes Democratic. Iowa, they haven't called it yet. Although Biden is leading in Iowa and Minnesota, but Biden is also trailing behind in Wisconsin. One thing that's surprising is shows right now Biden is leading in Montana and he's leading in Arizona. That's no surprise because Donald Trump insulted um, Donald Trump insulted the family of John McCain, and he lost a lot of popular votes. And I know John McCain's wife endorsed Biden. Right now, confirmed, they're saying Biden has 192 and Trump is 198 confirmed delegates. They've called Washington, D.C. for Biden. Washington, D.C. is only worth like 3 electoral votes.
hmm.
They've called Maryland for Biden because he's like up 8 points. That's only worth like 10 electoral votes. The one thing that's surprising is Trump is leading in Virginia, Pennsylvania, and Michigan. This could be bad. Shows here that he's leading Biden in Florida by 4 points. So
Hmm.
I don't think it's over with yet. He's leading Biden in Texas by 4 points. So far, it looks like Trump is doing better than expected, but I can't really tell what's going on. Let me try to refresh this map. Right now, you can't really call the election either way. This is 8:03 p.m. Pacific Standard Time here in North Hollywood, California. They're saying that Biden right now has 192. This is according to CNN.com. Biden has confirmed 192 electoral votes. Trump has confirmed 108. And it probably will go into the night before they determine who wins. I mean, winning Arizona does offset some of the losses by Biden, but he's losing Pennsylvania, Ohio. Uh, well, Indiana, you can expect him to lose because that's Mike Pence's home state. But Michigan, he's behind in Wisconsin, Michigan, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Virginia. He's behind in North Carolina and Florida. It's not looking good. Although Maine just pushed ahead. Before, Trump was leading in Maine, but now as they're getting closer to counting the votes, Biden is in Maine. And they
Hmm.
still haven't even polls, I don't think, have completely closed. Well, I think they just closed in California. So they haven't even called Hawaii, Alaska, California, Nevada, Washington State, Oregon, or Idaho because the polls just closed less than an hour ago. And they're probably still counting mail-in votes, especially if it's really close. But yeah, Biden is as of right now, Biden is not doing very well, which is surprising. So where did you hear that Biden won Florida? I see here that it's still kind of too close to call. They got it right
I
now.
heard.
Trump is
I
leading.
heard.
Go
Yeah.
ahead. They
Oh,
got
sorry.
it here. According to CNN, Trump is leading by 4 points in Florida, but they haven't finished counting the vote yet. Go ahead.
Hmm.
What were you gonna say?
Oh, I was on a podcast and I heard that he lost Florida, and I was like, oh, okay. You know.
Well, that would be good if he lost Florida because Biden needs to make up the electoral votes. Biden was trailing in Iowa, but he's leading in Iowa. So the thing I'm worried about is Biden is losing the same states that most of the same states that allowed Trump to win in 2016 against Hillary Clinton. He's losing in Michigan. He's losing in Wisconsin. Although Wisconsin is only 2 points, but Michigan, Biden's losing by 9 points. Pennsylvania, he's losing by 15 points. That's not good for Biden. These are the same states that Hillary Clinton lost. But yeah, Michael Moore predicted that Trump would do better than expected because he said that a lot of people will not admit to over the phone that they are a Trump supporter, so the polls could be skewed because he's like the Trump supporters have been. Hold on a sec. Hello. Hey, I'm on a live podcast with Daniel, so they can hear you laugh. I got you on speakerphone.
Oh my god!
I'm on a live podcast. I'm.
My friend, I just got off the phone with my friend Maddie. Should I let you go, perhaps?
Unless you want to be recorded, you're being recorded on this live podcast. I'm on Zoom.
What are you guys talking about?
The election, how it seems like Biden might lose. He's not doing really well right now. Although, maybe once they can't count the mail-in ballots, Biden could come ahead. They haven't called most of the states yet. But you don't mind being in this podcast? You're being recorded because you're on the mic's picking you up and you're on speaker. You okay?
The election, cool. I should pull the mute and unmute, but I don't ruin it. I can imagine the people watching this video right now, they're really like, who's that girl? Like, all of a sudden this girl just...
Whoa, you're with... hello, folks. You're here with Rockanne. This is my girlfriend. She does a YouTube channel with the same name. And I'm here with Daniel. Daniel's Hot Topics. Daniel, say hi to Rockanne.
Hi, Rockanne.
He says hi. You probably can't hear him because I'm...
no, I can't.
He says hi. He says hi, Rockanne. You want to say something back to Daniel?
Yeah. Everything is going well for you.
She says she hopes everything's going well for you.
Thanks, Rockanne.
He says thanks, Rockanne. Yeah, like right now, God, Trump is leading in Pennsylvania by 14 points. They haven't called it yet because I think they still got mail-in ballots vote. I mean, Biden is losing the same states that Hillary Clinton lost. Trump is leading in Michigan by 11 votes. Trump is leading in Ohio by 8%, or 11 votes. I mean, he's leading in Michigan by 11%. He's leading in Pennsylvania by 14%. He's leading in Ohio by 8%. Trump is leading in Wisconsin by 3%. And one thing that's shocking is he's leading in Virginia by 6 points. That was a state that Hillary Clinton won last time, but they haven't completely called it yet. They've called Illinois for Biden. Biden is leading in Iowa, which is surprising because Iowa, Trump was polling ahead in Iowa, but apparently Biden is like 8 points ahead in Iowa. Biden is ahead in Arizona. Oh, they just called Oregon, and they got a check mark on it. Or okay, Biden just won the state of Oregon. Another surprise is Biden is leading in Montana, which voted Trump last time and traditionally votes Republican. Biden is leading by 4 points. But they've called it for Biden in New York. They've called it for Biden in D.C. The problem is Biden looks like he's losing Michigan, Wisconsin, Michigan, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Virginia, and he's losing Florida, and he's losing Texas. I mean, although Arizona's worth 11 electoral votes, that's more than I expected. I mean, Biden might eke off a slight win if he wins Montana and Arizona. We still have the mail-in ballots to count. But yeah, this is looking a mess. This is Trump is doing better than expected, although I don't know. Some of the states they have called, some of the states they haven't called yet. Like they haven't called Ohio, even though right now Trump is leading by eight points in Ohio. He's leading by 11 points in Michigan. And I'm looking at a live map that just got updated live because they just added Oregon to the Biden. They've called Oregon. Oregon, okay, they just called California. They just called California. They just called California for Biden. They called Oregon for Biden. That was pretty much predicted. They haven't called Nevada. I know that Trump had been polling better in Nevada, and sometimes they would put Nevada in the too close to call category. But yeah, I don't want to create a super long video here, folks. You know, we're going to run until about 8:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time because I'm still trying to get this podcast, The World is a Mess, and I just want to steampunk it off the ground. And I'm trying to keep my videos down to 30 minutes until I get, maybe if I get a bigger audience and people say, hey, I like listening to you talk longer. Whoa, that is really bad news. Oh, wait. They're saying that Trump is leading in Washington State? That's got to be wrong.
What network are you watching?
CNN.
I'm watching TYT.
Well, they're complaining about, you know, Biden is not doing that well right now, but they haven't counted all the votes. Yeah, there's some weird thing going on. Like right now, Trump is leading in Washington State by like 30 points, but that's probably because most of the Democrats have mailed their mail-in votes. But yeah, I mean, the fact that Biden is not having a landslide victory is symbolic of how dysfunctional politics is in America today. In America today, it's just like, you know, Trump is a serial killer of children. He locked up children in cages, denied them access to health care. They lived in overcrowded conditions and died of dysentery or other diseases.
Right.
And the fact that right now it looks like Trump is going to win, but if you got to keep in mind that they predicted that Trump would look like he was winning early on until they count the mail-in ballots. So I don't know, but there are some states like California, they've called it already for Biden. They've called Oregon for Biden. They've called Colorado for Biden. They've called New Mexico for Biden. Right now, Biden is leading in Arizona by 8 points. That's pretty good because apparently Arizona has a large population, is now worth 11 electoral votes. Biden is leading in Montana. That's really one of the few surprises. of the night. It's surprising from the Democratic perspective that he's leading in Montana. South Carolina, they've already called it for Trump. Trump is leading in Georgia. They were trying to claim that Georgia was a battleground state, but I had a feeling it wasn't going to be. Trump is leading. They haven't called it for Georgia yet, but Trump is leading Biden by 10 points. Right now, Trump is leading in Virginia by 6 points. They haven't called Pennsylvania yet, but Trump is leading by 14 points in Pennsylvania. That's really bad. Pennsylvania is worth 11 electoral votes. Trump is leading at Ohio by 8 points. That's really bad because Ohio is worth 18 electoral votes. Trump is leading in Michigan by 11 percentage points. That's worth 16 electoral votes. Trump is leading in Wisconsin by 4 points. They haven't called any of these states yet. It's just preliminary results. Let me go to foxnews.com. I don't call them equal because they're both corporate media and they both have a right-wing slant. Fox News just has an alt-right slant. Let me see. The Fox News has states that are too close to call. So right now, Fox News is called. They're saying that Biden has won Washington State, Oregon, California. They're saying that Biden has won Colorado. He's won Illinois. He's won New York. He's won Maine. He's won. They're saying Biden won for Virginia, and Maryland, and Delaware, and they're saying it's too close to call Pennsylvania, Ohio, Michigan, Wisconsin, North Carolina, and Georgia are too close to call. But okay, Fox News has called Florida for Donald Trump. Right now, Donald Trump's got 51% of the vote in Florida. He is got 5.6 million 5,629,000 votes. Biden has got 5,245,000. Yeah, I'm not surprised because I know some Trump supporters in Florida, and Florida is hardcore Republican. I mean, and they follow with the cult of Trump. So I'm not really surprised. I mean, I come from Florida, and I can criticize from Florida because I was born in Florida. I'm from Florida. Florida is the crazy state. Florida is the state that paroled, or not paroled, they acquitted George Zimmerman for murdering Trayvon Martin by shooting.
Florida man mean?
Yeah, Florida man, the meme Florida man, because there's always a news story about Florida man does this, and it's always something crazy. But they haven't called, even Fox News, which is, an alt-right organization. CNN, they're more corporate conservative. Fox News is more alt-right. So even from an alt-right perspective, they haven't called the election one way or the other. They're still saying it's too close to call. They're saying that there's 207. Oh, they're updating the votes live. There's 207 electoral votes confirmed for Biden and 148 electoral votes so far confirmed for Trump. Right now, Trump is leading the popular vote by 1 million votes. Biden's got 48,212,926 votes. Donald Trump has got 49,713,468 votes. So right now, Biden has got 48.4% of the vote. Trump has got 49.9%. The one thing, ladies and gentlemen, the one thing you got to realize is The one thing that bothered me about the polls, and I should have, because people are going to say, "Oh, you were just, you're only saying this now because you're reporting live so late into the election." Uh, the one thing about the polls is they always had like Biden leading by 9 points, but then they had like 8 points undecided, and that's where things get overestimated, in my opinion. Is they had a really large undecided section, and with only like usually 2% of people voting Libertarian, 1% of people voting Green. Um, that leads a lot to the desire. So it's almost like I wouldn't trust the polls unless Biden was leading by, at least 51% of the vote. But any of the polls where Biden was leading by 9 points, like I saw polls where like, I think it was like in Pennsylvania or might have been Michigan or Wisconsin where Biden was leading by like 8 or 9 points and Trump had 40% of the vote. But Biden was only leading by, he had 49%. And I'm like, well, where's the other 11 points? And those, I guess, were undecided voters or third party voters. But very few people vote third party. Like I said, from what I saw, Libertarian candidate was polling about 2%. The Green Party candidate was polling about 1%. We shall see. But Fox News hasn't even called it. But they just called the state of Florida. That's not really surprising. Trump now lists the state of Florida as his home state. That's where Mar-a-Lago is. And Florida usually always votes Republican. I think the last time Florida voted Democrat was under Clinton. Let's see, last time Florida... Oh wait, I am totally wrong. Florida voted for Barack Obama in 2012. So they consider Florida a battleground purple state. Florida voted for Donald Trump in 2016. Florida voted for Barack Obama in 2008. But then they also voted for George W. Bush in 2004 and voted for Well, they technically didn't vote for George W. Bush in 2000. That election was decided by the Supreme Court, despite not counting all of the popular vote. The state officials called Florida for George W. Bush, even though George W. Bush technically didn't win the popular vote. But the sad thing is that right now it looks like Trump doesn't even have to steal the election. It looks like he just won it outright. So we'll see what's going on. Okay, I see CNN has fixed their electoral college map. Whoa, that is weird. They're showing that Biden is leading in Idaho. That is surprising. Idaho usually always votes Republican. Biden is still leading in Montana. And no votes have been counted yet in Nevada for some reason. That is weird. Let me go back to Fox News. We see states that have been called so far. We're at 8:24 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm here with Daniel's Hot Topics, and I'm here with my girlfriend on speakerphone, Rockanne. And so, yeah, they've called New York for Biden. They've called the state of Vermont for Biden. Woo! They just called Arizona for Biden. See, Biden could make up some of the states he lost in the East. It's kind of not surprising that Arizona voted for Biden because John McCain's wife endorsed Joe Biden. Because, if you know anything about the history between Donald Trump and John McCain's family, Trump, called John McCain a loser. He called military vets a loser. You know, he liked winners. He didn't like people who were captured. And John McCain had been a POW during World War II, and John McCain cast the deciding vote that prevented the Affordable Care Act from being repealed in Congress. And you know, and even though John McCain is dead, John McCain's wife has endorsed Joe Biden. So they have called Arizona. CNN has called Arizona for Joe Biden. That was predicted in the polls. All right. Actually, not CNN. Fox News has called Arizona for Joe Biden. And they've called Fox News has called Illinois. They've called Colorado, Arizona, California, Oregon, Washington State for Joe Biden. They've called New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine, Connecticut, Rhode Island. They've called that for Joe Biden. They've called Fox News has called Virginia for Joe Biden. They've called Maryland for Joe Biden. Okay, so this is warming up. This is like, ladies and gentlemen, it has not been decided yet. I may run a little bit afterwards because this is getting exciting. Because now Biden is starting to win some states as they start counting more of the tally. Let me see what CNN. See, according to Fox News, they're saying that Biden right now has 218 confirmed electoral votes. You need 270 electoral votes in the Electoral College to win. The way it works, if you're new and you haven't listened to my podcast before or watched one of my YouTube videos before, the way it works with Electoral College, folks, because a lot of people don't even know how it works, is it's supposed to be if you win the majority of vote in that state, then you get electors that are appointed by the state legislator, and they get to vote on behalf of the people. But it doesn't always work that way. Sometimes you have electors that vote against their constituents. But generally, 90% of the time, the electors vote based on the popular vote. But yeah, right now, according to Fox News, they're saying Joe Biden has 218 confirmed electoral votes. Donald Trump has 148. Oh, the popular vote has narrowed. Biden now has 52,221,772 voes. Trump has a slight lead in popular vote with 52,248,438 votes. So right now, Trump is leading by... Oh, they just updated the voter tally again. It's ticking up. Okay, Biden is now taking a slight lead in popular vote. Biden has 54,498,333 votes. Trump has 53,198,728 votes. I thought I was going to have to say, well, Biden might win, but he won't win with popular vote. But Biden just eked ahead. He's more than 1.5 million votes ahead of Donald Trump. This is 8:28 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I'm here in North Hollywood. But so how's it going with you, Daniel? You still there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
CNN has been more conservative than Fox News on calling certain states. Like Fox News has already called Arizona for Biden. That's a pretty good win for Biden because he can counteract some of the electoral, even if he loses like Ohio and Pennsylvania. God, that's really bizarre that he's leading in Idaho and Montana.
Where?
Oh, wait. Okay, Fox News just called Idaho for Donald Trump. but CNN is saying it's too close to call in Idaho. But yeah, Trump is leading really a really large lead in Pennsylvania, and Trump has got a large lead in Wisconsin. He's got a large lead in Michigan. These are all the same freaking states that Hillary Clinton lost. Trump has got a large lead in Ohio. Biden has got a large lead in Minnesota, but they haven't called Minnesota yet. And this is on the Fox News website. And the Joe Biden is... Trump has got a slight lead in Iowa now. So this could be bad because even though Trump looks like he's going to lose Arizona, if he wins all these Midwestern states, with the exception of Illinois, and all the southern states, he could end up eking out a win. Yeah. But the weird thing is, I'm looking here on the... Let me see if I can do a screen share. Oh, sharing screen is ghosted out for some reason. This is why I miss Google Hangouts, folks. I miss being able to do live streams of Google Hangouts. It was so much more intuitive than using Zoom. Zoom, I know how to get it started, but for some reason, my screen sharing ability is ghosted out. Maybe it's...
I heard Kirstie Alley voted for Trump.
I just want to let you know it's 8:32. I said we're going until
Kirstie Alley, the actress.
Yeah.
Well, you had Lil Wayne endorse Donald Trump, which was surprising to me. But Trump did pass criminal justice reform. What did you have to say, Rockanne? What's going on?
You said you were only going to go until 8:30, and it's 8:32.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go on. This is getting kind of tense. You know, this is like really close right now. It still hasn't been called one way or the other. Right now, Trump is leading in North Carolina and Georgia, what they claim were battleground states. Trump is leading in Texas. He's leading really large. That's going to be surprising because I thought surely with the mishandling of the economy that Biden would at least win Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania had always usually voted Democratic up until 2016. And now it seems like they've switched it over to being a red state. But, like I said, folks, they got to still count in mail-in ballots, so we'll have to see. The thing I'm worried about is there's court rulings in Wisconsin which led me to believe that they're not going to count mail-in ballots that didn't arrive by the end of today. And so, in theory, Biden could have won Wisconsin if it wasn't for the fact that they stopped counting mail-in ballots after tonight. And the Supreme Court already ruled on a case that Donald Trump sued where they said, hey, you cannot count ballots after the deadline. Although they did say that early results would favor Trump as they count walk-in votes. They still have mail-in ballots to count. So I don't know where this is going. This is special election night coverage, folks, so I'm kind of going off the cuff here. I think I'm going to continue to broadcast for at least another 15 minutes, but then I'm going to go at some point. Because I don't want to make this video too long to upload. my webcam is only 720p, so the video quality is a little bit reduced, and it doesn't take up as much space, and it's not as larger file. But I also hate uploading to YouTube large file formats for my video vlog. But I digress. Getting back to the politics, but. Yeah, right now Biden is leading the popular vote by 1.3 million votes. You know, Biden's got 55,643,281 votes. Oh, they're just updating it again. The ticker is going up. Yeah, Biden's still leading. Okay, this is 8:35 p.m. Pacific Standard Time here in North Hollywood, California, and I'm here with Daniel's Hot Topics in Ontario, Canada, and I'm here with Rockanne on the speakerphone. But yeah, Joe Biden has right now he's ahead by less than I expected in the popular vote. He's got 55,744,243 votes. Trump has got 54,434,053 votes. So Biden is leading by 1.3 million, which is less of a popular vote lead than Hillary Clinton, which concerns me because it looks like Biden might lose all these Midwestern states. If he loses all the Midwestern states, Trump could eke out a victory. But Michael Moore did say that he predicted that Biden's lead was overinflated. Michael Moore said this to his credit. He said this yesterday. He said that most Trump supporters don't trust the media. So when the media calls to do a poll, they may not even give a truthful answer because they've been trained by Trump not to trust the media. And a lot of people will not publicly admit, they're embarrassed to admit that they're a Trump supporter. So he was expecting Biden to have only a narrow lead in the popular vote. And the problem is because we have gerrymandering, the way the state electors are delegated in gerrymandering, that really decides like Republicans can technically win the presidency and win a majority in the Senate and a majority in Congress with a minority of the vote. And that's how screwed up and anti-democratic our system is. It has always been my opinion that if you win the popular vote, you should win the presidency. Electoral College was designed to help out slave states to have more equal footing with non-slave states, and we don't need that. And that's based on a racist policy. You know, you could argue that the Electoral College, when it was created at the beginning of the founding of the country, that, you know, because mail was slow and they had, you know, transportation was slow, they had horse and buggy carriages, and they maybe it could take months to count the vote because, you know, it was slow with the way they counted ballots back then. But now with the internet and the ability to have electronic counters that count the vote, you know, we know most of the time, we know within like a day or two who won. And so really there's no reason to have electoral college anymore because it's very anti-democratic. In the last 20 years, you've had Al Gore win the popular vote and got picked, but Bush got picked by the Supreme Court because they refused to finish doing the vote recount in Florida. If the vote recount in Florida had been allowed to commence, then Al Gore would have become president. But that's not what happened. The Supreme Court picked the president in 2000. And then in 2016, you had Hillary Clinton won by more than 3 million votes and still lost Donald Trump because Trump won the right key battleground states. I mean, he like won like Wisconsin, Michigan, in Pennsylvania by like less than 30,000 votes, something like that. It was a really narrow victory. And because he won the right strategic states. Let's see what's going on with. Because the way things are being reported in CNN is different than Fox News. Like Fox News has already called Idaho for Trump, but CNN is saying that it's too close to call. That's kind of interesting. CNN is saying that Biden is leading in Montana. That's actually kind of surprising. But Fox News is saying it's too close to call. Oh, Fox News is showing here that Trump is leading in Montana by 5 points. They still haven't reported in Nevada. They still haven't reported the vote count in Alaska or Hawaii. And that's another thing that's anti-democratic that you often see in some elections with the presidential election is if you win enough delegates on the East Coast, often by the time before the polls close in Alaska or Hawaii or even California, they've already called the election. That sometimes has happened. And so it's like, and that discourages people on the West Coast to even vote sometimes because they're like, oh, he's got such a delegate lead on the East. If it was just down to the popular vote, then all states would matter, all cities would matter, not just battleground states. And that's what drives me nuts, and it's very anti-democratic, is most campaigns tend to focus on the key battleground states, and they don't focus on the majority of trying to win the majority of votes. But yeah, Biden is leading with the popular vote by he's leading the popular vote is widened a little bit. It's now like 1.6 million vote lead, but it's still a more narrow lead than Hillary Clinton had in the popular vote against Donald Trump in 2016. There's a lot of states they haven't called yet. There's a lot of states they have called. I'm really not surprised by Florida because Florida is a crazy mountain state. But Daniel, sorry, you've been kind of quiet. You still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Any input on live updates for the election?
Well, it sounds really interesting. So who do you think would win in the end?
The honest answer, the scientific answer is I don't know. I don't know who's winning because there's not enough states that have been called. Biden is leading in Minnesota by a large margin. Minnesota was a state that I think Trump won last time. But Trump is leading right now in Iowa. Trump is leading in Wisconsin. Trump is leading in Michigan. Trump is leading in Ohio. He's leading a really large margin in Pennsylvania. Trump is leading slightly in North Carolina, and he's leading by like a large margin, 8 points in Georgia. Trump is leading in Texas by 6 points. So it's not looking good. Losing, because even though Biden, even Fox News has confirmed that Biden has won Arizona. Arizona's worth 11. Pennsylvania's worth 20. Michigan's worth 16. Wisconsin's worth 10. Ohio is worth 18. Biden could make up for it a little bit by winning Arizona and winning Minnesota because Biden is leading in Minnesota by a large margin. But, he's trailing in Iowa, Wisconsin, Michigan, Ohio, Pennsylvania. Right now, it's not looking good for the Democrats. But, we need to wait until the mail-in ballots get counted. And wow, that's weird. Fox News is saying that Joe Biden has only got 20% of the vote In Nevada so far, Trump has got 77.5%. Oh, that's because they've only got 1% of the polls reporting. So they've only counted a few thousand votes. So that's really not characteristic of who is leading where. In Pennsylvania, there's only 52%. There's actually a couple states where the polls are still open. Like in Hawaii, the polls are still open. See, this is what I'm talking about. You know, there are people who could still vote in Alaska and Hawaii, but most of the elections already been decided. So some people who live in Alaska or Hawaii be like, why should I bother to vote? He's already won key battleground states on the East Coast. And that's very anti-democratic. But yeah, like right now in Montana.
Yeah, definitely, indeed, very concerning.
Right now in Pennsylvania, you only have, okay, so that gives me some optimism. You only have 52% of the polls reporting. So they've only counted 52% of the total votes in Pennsylvania. And although Trump is leading by 15 points right now, or actually, well, 14 points, leading by 14 points in Pennsylvania, Biden could eke out a win in Pennsylvania, but he'd have to come a long way. Only 50% of the polls are reporting in Michigan. Trump is leading by 10 points in Michigan. 70% of the polls are reporting in Wisconsin. Trump is leading by 5 points in Wisconsin, with 70% of the polls reporting. Now, Wisconsin, I predicted that Biden would lose because the Democrats lost a key court case that the Supreme Court recently ruled on, where they said that because there were some lower court federal judges that had ruled that, hey, Wisconsin needs to count mail-in ballots up to 6 days after the election. And the Supreme Court said, no, you can throw out mail-in ballots that arrive after the election. And that's what's very anti-democratic about that, folks, is Donald Trump got Louis DeJoy to cripple the post office and do away with mail sorting machines, do away with drop boxes, to make it much, much harder for people to vote. So it's very anti-democratic. They're doing voter suppression with the mail-in ballots, and then they're suing in key battleground states like Wisconsin. Like the mail-in ballots can make a difference for Biden in Wisconsin, but they're not going to be counted after today. If the mail-in ballots in Wisconsin didn't arrive by today, they're not going to be counted. But Wisconsin's 70%, with 30% of the polls left to report, that's not a good sign. The polls are closed in Ohio. 94% are reporting, and Trump is leading in Ohio by 8 points. But it really, folks, Biden can still win without Ohio, but he needs like Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan, and or Pennsylvania. Look at CNN. Yeah, this is tense. This reminds me of 2016 all over again. But right now, it is really not well determined. Yeah, right now they're showing, like CNN is showing Michigan has got a big lead for Trump, but there's only 47% of the polls reporting, and you got to count mail-in ballots too. Wisconsin, Trump is leading by 3 points. Or no, sorry, 4 points. He's leading by 4 points, but only 49 or 59% of the polls reporting. So we will have to see. We're almost an hour into this podcast because this is special election night coverage, 2020. This is November the 3rd. and you still can't call it. I mean, it was predicted that, like, especially with the mail-in ballots, this could be days. Like my mail-in ballot that I mailed in California, it said on the back of the envelope and the directions, it said that they will be counting mail-in ballots up to 17 days after the election. But Fox News has already called California for Joe Biden, although there's only 52% of the polls reporting, but Biden's got a commanding lead of 69%, 69.4%. Trump's got 28.8%. But yeah, Biden is only leading in popular vote. Right now he's got 57,151,222 votes. Trump has got 55,904,785 votes. So right now Biden is leading the popular vote 49.7% to Trump's 48.6%. And see, let me look up 2016 election. I want to compare. There's more people voting this time than there was in 2016. But they haven't counted more votes because right now Biden is leading. Okay, Biden. Okay, they just CNN updated it first. Interesting. It's fascinating going back between CNN and Fox News, see how they report differently. CNN is showing that Biden has now got 50% of the popular vote. Trump's got 48.5%. Biden has got 56,144,651 votes. Trump has got 54,517,205 votes. And so that's like 1.6 million vote lead for Biden, but it doesn't matter if you don't win the right states. Let's see. Looking here. Right now, Fox News is saying Biden's got 223 electors. Trump's got 204. Yeah, it's going to be a close race. But right now, it still looks like it's favoring Trump. But we got to count the mail-in votes. Maybe the mail-in votes will make a difference. I can only imagine what another 4 years Donald Trump will do to this country. See, it's different the way Fox News calls it and the way CNN calls it. Like right now, CNN is saying that Biden has got 205 delegates, Trump's got 114, but Fox News says Biden has 223 delegates and Trump has got 204. The vote tally is slightly different. They're saying that, but yeah, it looks like right now Biden has 57,093,920 votes, and Trump has got 55,267,619. So. Okay, they just upped it again. So yeah, Biden's got 57,198,199 versus Trump 55,437,722. To give a comparison, so right now you have 57 million people have voted for Biden that have been counted, and 55 million people have voted for Trump that have been counted. But if you look at the 2016 election, I'm looking here at the Wikipedia page, the popular vote, like Hillary Clinton got 65 million votes and Trump got 62 million. So we're not even, we still got millions of more votes to count, folks. So it could go either way. I was really hoping it would be a landslide for Joe Biden, but Michael Moore was right that Joe Biden's lead was overestimated. And he said that non-biased. He said that like a couple days ago. He thought that Biden's lead in the polls was overestimated because most Trump supporters don't trust the media. They're either not going to talk to the media or not tell truthfully to the media who they would vote for. And plus, some people who are Trump supporters are, frankly, they're embarrassed that they support Trump, so they're not public about it. But yeah, the massive lead that, although only 51% of the polls have reported in Pennsylvania, but that does not look good for Biden, with Trump having a massive lead in Pennsylvania. Trump's got a massive lead right now in Michigan, although only 48% of the polls are reporting. And Trump's got a massive, or not a massive, but he's got a slight lead in Wisconsin. And he's got a slight lead in Ohio. Who knows? Anyway, I'm going to cut this down to an hour. Thank you for joining me, Daniel. Are you still there? Hello? Daniel?
Yeah, I'm still here.
All right, I'm about to end the podcast because it's an hour. I have limited budget, limited technology here, and if I leave this stream longer than an hour, it's going to take forever to upload. But yeah, right now I cannot, as of 8:58 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, I cannot tell who's going to win because they haven't finished counting the votes. I don't know if that includes the mail-in votes or is that just voting in person. Some of the states like Pennsylvania only have like half of the polls reporting, so it could swing either way. I was hoping that Biden would have a landslide victory, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen. He is leading in the popular vote, but he needs to win the right strategic states. But thank you guys for joining me on this special election night coverage. This is Steampunk Starraisin of AmberStreet.com. You have a nice day, and I will see you 25 billion years. I will.